maybe we will see Kota Ibushi pop up at one of these AEW live events, because AEW has now rolled out their plan for non-televised house shows, essentially. AEW House Rules, that they are promoting as intimate weekend events to kick off March 18th. They're going to do a show in Troy, Ohio. And this has been talked about for a while. This is kind of being spearheaded by Jeff Jarrett, Raphael Morphy. They're kind of the two of the key guys involved in the live events department. But from the press release, Tony Khan today announced the launch of AEW House Rules, a live event series taking place on select weekends and markets across the country. He goes on to say that these non-televised live events will showcase an electrifying mix of matchups featuring the stars of AEW. Each event offers an even more immersive experience for fans, including customized merchandise, unique ways to engage with featured talent, and in-show interactions different from what is featured on televised AEW programming. The first House Rules show will take place Saturday, March 18th in Troy, Ohio, at the Hobart Arena, and will feature Ohio's own Jon Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, Dr. Britt Baker, Darby Allin, Orange Cassidy, and many more, with tickets on sale this Friday. So we actually did talk about this as well on Ask Away, of sort of a live event strategy. So very much us kind of setting the table for the news this week. Yeah. But for those that didn't hear our show, like, we went over the positives and negatives of running live events in this current environment of professional wrestling, where live events are not this gigantic profitable sector that you would be looking at in terms of just revenue. And I would think that this is one where you're looking for value beyond just profits and losses on individual markets that you can run to. Some of those positives being, number one, you're going to be able to go to smaller markets that you're not going to be bringing your big Dynamites or even Rampages to. Troy, Ohio, probably being a good example of that. It is lower costs. It's also experience for talent. Like, we were specifically noting a Jade Cargill of, that progression of, yes, you get one or two TV matches mixed in with some Dark Elevation squashes, but with a regular rotation of house shows, even if you're adding, say, 4 matches a month, it's something for this gigantic talent roster that can be out there, and pairing your veterans with some of your inexperienced talent, the talent that's not getting on TV. This gives them more of an outlet. And you're looking for, I think, beyond just the idea of, are these going to make money or not? Because I would say if these are profitable, it's going to be minimal, even for something at the scale of AEW. But yeah, that's sort of my thinking towards these, and sort of, I would imagine, like, this Hobart Arena, like, this is kind of the scope of what we're looking at, and putting, 1 to 2, I would say a couple major stars on top of these. It's not going to be your whole roster, but it is enough that hopefully draws in markets that are less served than some of your TV markets.
The Hobart Arena seems to, at least according to Wikipedia, has a capacity of 3,782. Now, I mean, they obviously don't have to, do that much, but, simply being able to serve a territory that is underserved, I think it's at least worth trying. These tickets appear to be $20. They start from $20 plus fees. So, it seems like they're very affordable. Obviously, there, as you mentioned, John, there's a lot of value that, is outside of the financial aspect of it. But I also can't imagine Tony Khan entering, any sort of business deal without it being a profitable one. I mean,
I'm certain that's the goal, and you keep costs low. I think, like, customized merchandise, that's something that I think all sports have had a lot of success with, and WWE, that's a big thing on these pay-per-views as well, and even live events is sort of getting away from just uniform merchandise that we bring to all the cities and making it more. You're looking for ways that you can keep costs down and try and maximize those numbers that are coming, that are going to spend money on your product, and exposing your product to people that are not getting out to AEW shows in bigger markets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes sense. You have a lot of your talent going out and working other promotions, led by a guy like a Jon Moxley that, that are probably quite profitable in their local markets. So why wouldn't AEW, with their name brand and, like the stars that they have attached to their roster, try to make a go of it themselves? It makes all the sense in the world. I guess I'm just curious about maybe some of the specifics in financials, especially knowing, WWE's, like, what are WWE's current sort of a house show financials like? You know?
I mean, they're at a point where, especially before the pandemic, you had several of those quarters that the live event section was actually losing money. They are not at that level anymore, but it's still a gigantic difference of what they do at live events versus like television. Like just looking at this month, like a couple weekends ago, they were in like small markets like Erie, Pennsylvania and Binghamton, New York. They did like 3,300 and 2,500. That's on the lower end, but you're typically looking at, I would say, anything in some of these like medium to small markets. If you're in the 3,000 to 4,200 range is typical, unless you're something really big like your post-Christmas live events in big markets and such like that. But it is at least not at the lower level. They've also cut back on a lot of their live events, and by cutting back, they've eliminated a lot of the smaller drawing markets as well. So they're not running where they were, and they had started to cut back on that even before the pandemic.
Something interesting to maybe make note of, and thank you to John Cena for pointing this out, is that OTT has actually announced Moxley as a part of the show with Scrapper on Scrappermania on March 18th, the same day as this supposed Troy show. Now, they are in different time zones, but it's quite the distance, for Moxley to.
Oh, he's not going to be in Ireland for this show and making it to Ohio. So this might be scrapped mania for John Moxley. Where he's supposed to be doing back-to-back shows. Like the Friday is not a big issue, but I would assume that this is the AEW show is going to take precedence.
With him being the poster child, I would probably say so myself.
In Ohio, yeah. So I don't know how you get to that point where this is being advertised and you're putting this press release out, and now he's advertised for somewhere else. So I'm sure we will have an update on that fairly soon. So there you have it. That is AEW House Rules. Would you go to one of these, Wai, if it was near you?
I'm very curious. I actually think I would. Like even knowing from WWE house shows, the atmosphere tends to be at least fantastic here where we are. And I imagine for AEW, that will probably be the case in several places. And I'm curious to know if these house shows play a bigger role into the storylines, knowing how much AEW, might integrate stories from other promotions sometimes into their own TV content. I have to imagine.
At the beginning, I definitely would. The last thing I would do is the mistakes WWE made where house shows don't matter, especially for the first few. I would be doing, whether it's just a promo to set up a match on Dynamite or an angle and you show it on television, I would be doing that for the first couple of months, like every now and then doing something where the house show matters and it's showing on television. And that's 20 to 30 seconds of dedicated television time that tells you that these shows, the cameras are rolling and you never know when something's going to happen. When there's buzz coming out of a show and man, the John Moxley and Darby had this killer match and they put it up on YouTube. Like there's ways that you can do that. Like WWE never does that with house shows or anything. Like they are just an island and they always have been generally. So I would completely do the opposite and make these feel important.
Agreed. Yeah. Do we get title matches, significant title changes, possibly on these house shows in Troy?
All to be determined. Yeah. What will happen? The big odyssey here in Troy.